Hey guys, welcome back to another video. In this video, I'm going to be analyzing a game between Gary Kasparov and Karpov, where Kasparov was playing as black. And in this game, Gary Kasparov won, and there's some interesting moves that really happened in this game, especially towards the end. So let's just start it. Okay, so as I said before, Kasparov is black, and um, so so our first move from white is e4, and then Kasparov decides to play the Sicilian. So this is mainline Sicilian, or not too mainline, but it's Sicilian. Knight up, and then black pushes his pawns up. White also does so. In this opening, notice that here the black pawns are not really trying to get the center. The white pawns are trying to get the center. It's more of a fight for the center right now. And notice that this black knight is in a pretty weird position right now. So it got to go back into a weird position because it got threatened by a weird pawn. Okay, that does not make sense. Whatever. So it had to go back to a3, and it can't really do much right there. And you'll see why later in the game. I wouldn't say it was too threatening for white, but it led to white's downfall because that knight right there on a3 was not really able to do much. So now we go on with d5. Takes, move away. That knight, it's in an okay position. There's really not many other places to put the knight anyway, so bishop up, castle, and then the bishop moves over. I guess adding more reinforcement on that pawn, because notice how there's only exactly two defenders of the pawn, the knight on c3 and the queen, and there were three attackers on this pawn, so we had to defend that pawn basically. Because even before, when black moved his knight up, there was already three attackers versus two defenders. Now later, white never really defended that pawn until later, and notice that black didn't really have an urgent need to take this pawn right here because on d5, because it's not too threatening. Even though it is a passed pawn and it is the extra pawn that black does not have, probably Kasparov did not really see a need in taking this pawn because one, it might cause him to trade off knights and possibly queen. I don't know, but definitely trading off knights. And if Kasparov is an aggressive player, which he is, he doesn't want to trade. He wants to keep as much force as possible. So he's trying to not take that pawn. And also notice that, so this pawn, it does have a bit of significance towards later in the game, and it does prove a bit annoying to black, but black is able to manage it. So now after that, bishop over, pinning the knight to the queen, effectively taking out one more defender because now this knight cannot take this pawn, otherwise queen gets taken, of course. Rook over, taking the open file, pretty good, and then the queen goes up, pawn up. Notice that now Kasparov is trying to get a queenside push, moving these pawns up, the B pawn and the A pawn right here, and also helping him gain more space on the queen side because some of his force is on the queen side, so it'd be pretty nice to add some pawns in. Now the rook moves over, knight moves up, and And this is pretty interesting because so when the rook moves over and the knight moves up, that just putting your knight straight in front of two attackers when you only have one defender. At first, it might seem a bit like a mistake, but I mean, obviously, the queen is the only one that could really attack it. The queen takes, bishop takes, and you're losing a queen in exchange for two minor pieces. So, I mean, this is pretty interesting. And also putting this one knight in front of the doubled up queen and rook also effectively blocks their usefulness on that d file. Knight moves back, pawn moves up, and notice that with that knight move, this the advantage bar on the left considerably, it really went up a bit with that for black. So now black is winning a bit, not too much though. It's not really decisive yet. Now pawn moves up, chasing away the bishop. Kasparov also throws up another pawn to threaten that knight, try to get that knight out of the way. And also it brings the knight on the a file, which is really not nice. Notice that now white has two minor pieces on the edges of the board, and it doesn't really, it's not that nice to have your pieces on the edge of the board. And notice that even with white being down a pawn and white having to deal with this pawn on d5, I mean black having to deal with the pawn on d5, black still has a lot of advantage. Notice that most of his pieces are in the center. There's almost like a clear circle of black pieces in the center. White pieces are a bit split. You can almost imagine a triangle starting from this pawn on h6 to this knight on d3, and then back to this pawn on b4. There's a nice little triangle right there, effectively splitting down the white ranks. And white's forces are pretty scattered. They're not really doing much. Literally, a queen and a rook are being made useless by a single knight right here on d3. So I feel like Kasparov really had effective plans right here. Bishop moves back, I guess to attack the king side, and it really wasn't doing much on c5. And also, of course, there was a knight on a4 trying to attack it, but I mean that's self-explanatory. Bishop moves up, trying to trade bishops off now, because if you're a defender, you want to trade. If you're on the offense, you don't want to trade. White is defending, he wants to trade. Rook to c8. Pawn moves up, taking more space for black. Takes, and now pawn g3. I guess creating a little room for the king, because I definitely think that the king is sooner or later going to get attacked by black. Also, this bishop doesn't have a nice place to go. Yeah, it's just a really bad bishop right now. It's being blocked by its own pawn, and can't really go here. It's gonna get attacked by three different pieces. Can't really go here. It gets get attacked by two pieces. It could go here, but that's a really bad position in the first place. And also, I guess white anticipated black moving his pawn up to g4. If that was the case, then that white bishop on f3 won't be able to do much. And if it cannot go back to g2, it's pretty much stuck and it's going to be useless. So White tried to make that little nice cozy room for his bishop on f3. Knight moves back, bishop comes back, as I said, and then queen moves over. It's almost like you're trying to switch the position of the queen and the knight for black. A3, defend that pawn. Takes. Queen moves over. Queen does not take. Obviously, there's that knight. Queen moves over. Bishop moves back a bit. I think, I'm not sure exactly why that was done. It might be to defend this king side push. Because notice that, so just earlier, if black was to initiate a king side push, this king would be pretty wide open. So first, that's why there was a queen maneuver and the knight maneuver right here. And now bishop is moving back to further defend the king and also further protecting his king side push if he were to move his H pawn and G pawn. So bishop moves back, pawn moves up. This was pretty good because this bishop stuck in G2 is really stuck, and it wasn't doing much. By doing this move, D6, not only do you get a bit closer to promotion. Yeah, it can be taken easily, but more importantly, this bishop gets all this range right now, and now you can't really use, as black, you can't really use this A file for your rooks, otherwise it gets taken by the bishop, because now white almost secured the A file. So pawn moves up, black doesn't take. You can take whenever. That's the thing that I like about Grandmaster moves. They don't really rush in taking pieces. So that's pretty cool. Now queen moves over and king moves up, and then pawn up. Now the queen takes, adding, so not only does this take the pawn, but it also defends the knight. So after that, pawn takes. So it's a pawn for a pawn. But notice that now white is still down a pawn. Black is still down a pawn, but black still got a lot of advantage. Check. Now this is, I guess, where the turning point in the game is. Of course, already black been building his advantage, and it doesn't look like black really gained any more advantage from this move. But this is where black pushes white's king in the corner, and white doesn't really attempt to use his king. Why would he? Because it's still almost the middle game. And with white's king in the corner, it can't really defend itself anymore. And you'll see why at the end of the video, when black makes his final attack, white's king is pretty much dead meat. So knight goes up, rook over, attacking the queen, block. Alright, so this was pretty cool. So here's the thing. So when black moved his knight up, he probably anticipated some move like taking this pawn, for example. Hey, free pawn. And also furthering his attack on the king side, because if this knight was here, it would be pretty more disastrous for white. But now the rook moves up, attacking the queen, saying, hey, the queen got to get out. Now, instead of moving the queen and seemingly losing a knight, Black would move his knight up. Now this knight is defended. It's defended by 3 pieces: the queen, the rook on e8, the bishop. So this knight seems okay, even though it's getting attacked by a bishop and a rook. Now, however, this other knight on d3 it looks really threatened, and it doesn't seem to be in a great position right now. Yeah, it's securing the center for black, but before it was defended by 2 pieces, this bishop and this queen. And it's getting attacked by 2 pieces, queen and rook. So it's a pretty even. But now, knight moves up. You're losing a defender for that knight on d3. It looks bad at first. It's not too bad, actually. Because now this knight, it's alright, you'll see it a bit. So the queen takes. Pretty bad. Oh no, I lost a piece. That's what happens instead. So not only does this draw the queen to a perfect position on d3, it gets discovered, attacked. Knight checks the king, bishop then attacks the queen, and rook takes, of course. Bishop takes, of course. And now rook double up again. Now black is only winning by 2 points, to be honest, even though he got queen. He lost a bit of minor pieces. So queen moves up, rook takes. I mean, surprisingly, before I would think that rook would probably move up defending this bishop since it was getting attacked, but no. Black just decides, bishop gets taken, whatever. Because he's focused on the attack. Rook goes up, adding further pressure. Notice that if this rook takes the queen, then this rook takes this rook, and then it's going to be pretty bad. Now, knight moves up, and look at that. Mate in 5. Black's advantage pretty much skyrocketed. Now, I think black saw this mate in 5, probably. So, but white did it, because white did not resign. So, queen moves up. Knight moves up, trying to I guess defend. And then rook takes. Rook takes, and at this moment, I guess white still didn't see anything wrong. But notice that if this king was on, so notice how earlier I said that this king getting pushed into a corner was a turning point. Notice that before, if the king was probably on g1 and a bit more defended, then it would probably stand a better chance. Or even better, just move this pawn up so then he gets some breathing room for the king. But no, the king is still stuck in the corner, and this is really bad for the king because king can't really defend itself. It got to rely on one lonely bishop and a few pieces that are getting traded off. And now this is the final move of the game. It's not a checkmate, but at this point, white sees that it's going to be a checkmate because at this point, white only has a few moves. Possibly with a bishop. Bishop f1, and then rook takes f1, and then knight takes f1, and then queen takes f1. That's mate. There's really nothing you do. So yeah, that's pretty much it. And I found this game really interesting because this was when I think Kasparov was 12 years old, and he was playing against another grandmaster when he was 12 years old, and he won. So this was one of his games that was leading up to his big win in World Championship, and he became World Champion, of course. So yeah, that was pretty much it, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video and learned a lot. And if you guys did, leave a like, subscribe, and